Welcome to the Reality After Show with Johnny Fairplay. Well, at least that's what it says in the corner. But what I also see in the corner is Alex Trias, Dan Montchal, myself, Matt Bischoff. Johnny is in Boston with Sandra the Queen, Jimmy T, maybe some people from this season, Brett LaBelle. He's having a good time. I don't see how he does it, you guys. I am still recovering from Cincinnati last week, where we had Sandra, myself, Roger Bingham, Matthew Sash, Lenahan, and, Dave Grohl, some people say. Some people said, Matt, look at that picture of Matt Bischoff with Sammy Hagar and Dave Grohl. Is this a super group or what?
I heard it was Sammy Hagar and some knockoff version of you.
Yes, all I know is last week was very, very fun. We had people from Michigan. We had people from Indiana. My cousins from Oklahoma drove all the way 11 hours from Oklahoma, watched the show, hung out at our party, and drove back all the way home. So mad props to the Survivor fans. It was the best Cincinnati event that we've had. And it reminded me of back in the day when I did my viewing parties for Karen Moen. It was very special. It was Matt versus Matt in fire making. There may be a little cheating going on with that. We'll say maybe Sandra handed Matt, the other Matt,
the
lighter. Yeah, matches lighter, but it was excellent and just a really, really good time. So for those that came, thank you very, very much. It was a pleasure. And tonight, oh God, I'm watching the show and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, dude, it's like 8:50. There ain't no tribal council happening, period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew is fucking gone. And I don't know. I mean, my first take is I'm very bummed for Matthew getting medically evacuated due to his shoulder that happened on day 2. And I even have talked to Matthew. I met him at his restaurant that he is a server at like a couple weeks ago. And I was like, so, dude, what are you going to do with that $1 million? And he smiled. And then I was like, man, dude, I was really pissed when you fucking walked up that cliff thing, dude. Because I was like, I realized that, and I've even talked about this in the podcast. You're so excited. I've trained for years. I've dreamt of this moment. I want to experience everything. So my adrenaline's going, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to climb up this rock. He happens to fall. It just shows how quickly things can change in Survivor. When people say to me, oh, was Survivor the real deal? Was it hard? I'm like, dude, they don't give you anything. It's gnarly. Every challenge, everything that you do is a potential medical evac.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could step on a freaking something in the ocean, dude. You could. At episode 1, we saw the one dude hit his head, climbing, going on that challenge. Yeah. So like, it is the real deal. It's gnarly, and I feel so bad because Matthew is obviously a huge fan, and I've spent some time with Matthew. Had some great quality conversations, and it was a dream of his to play Survivor, and I feel so bad.
Well.
So go ahead, Alex.
I'll say, though, like, I think for someone who goes out how he does with an injury right before the earned emerge, I'm going to still assume it's an earned emerge phase.
Yes.
I feel like they gave him a very positive edit, a very positive light. The only negative thing is the fact that he decided to stupidly climb a rock and dislocated his shoulder. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the only, like, demerit he gets of his game. Because I was talking with Dan before we started the podcast, before you got on, and I was saying how, well, you look at the story of Ratu. Like, he is one of the bigger orchestrators of what happens at that first tribal by, like, causing idols to be played, not having to show his cards by using his shot in the dark in a strategic sense. Like, we were singing his praises during premiere night about, like, his decisions that he made. Yeah. And throughout the rest of the pre-merge, Ratu's story is all linked to Matthew.
Yeah.
It's like how Matthew is interacting with everyone. And then the only other storyline we have is Kane's a gladiator and a nerd. Yeah. Like, that's so part of me is like, I was half joking. I say half joking because season 43 happened. So I say this with a little bit of a joke, but a little bit of seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
We could be seeing a Kane winner edit here.
Oh my God!
No, I quit if we're seeing a Kane.
That's right. Hold on.
Hey,
I said if Erica wins Survivor 41, I am quitting podcasting.
Hey,
I won't say that I quit. If Kane wins, we can do some type of weird, promotional challenge of submitting art, and whatever picture gets the most, I'll get it tattooed on myself. Kane is not winning this challenge.
Oh, dude.
But going back,
someone clip this.
Keep it recorded.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alex, back to what you said. It's just so weird because you take Matthew out of the mix, and it's what do we know about this Ratu tribe? We got nothing from Brandon since the premiere where he had to play his idol. Lauren, we know she has that bank of vote, but we've seen almost nothing from her. Kane, we've just had those quirky, interactions with him, those TV moments.
Canada, baby.
Yeah. And then Carson.
He's Canadian.
He is Canadian. And then Carson, I mean, yes, he's there, but he's just got their last episode. So it's like of the original Ratu members, and even if you want to throw Jamie, because that's where she started, we know nothing about them because they gave all of it to Matthew. So it's just a confusing choice, I guess.
And any power that Jamie possibly could have had is all out the window after this journey. Because you hear Danny talk about the idols that were received at the last journey, but we'll get into that. But to wrap up the Matthew part of it all, it's like, I understand you have to put your health first. I don't, because in my mind, I think medical was ready to take him out at any moment. So I think even if he said, I'm still opting in, I think we will have gone to like the first immunity challenge and he wouldn't be able to compete. And then they'd be like, sorry, we're going to have to pull you. Your shoulder's just not good enough for you to stay on this island without severe ramifications. So I think like this was their way of like forcing an out on him.
Here's what I want to say. And my wife and I were talking about this. Why doesn't casting allow pain medication to people that are potentially hurt? Because I think Matthew is a great Survivor player, and I think he could have been great addition to this season. And if it was a matter of let's give this guy some Vicodin or Percocets or something to get him, like if medical was like, okay, his shoulder is screwed up, but mostly this is just a painful thing and not like he's running his entire life based off this injury.
Right.
Let's get him some anti-inflammatories and some pain meds to calm it down. It's not any kind of performance-enhancing drugs.
And that's the thing. Yeah.
Why don't they allow it? Because I know Australian Survivor will allow people to go out of the game for 24 hours, right?
Well, here's the biggest difference, and you could still even say it with the current, like with the old format, and it's time. Like Australian Survivor, because it's always been like 45 plus days, and at some points the earlier seasons were like 55 days. You have that window where like you can easily pull someone for a day, give them a full check, and then decide whether you can bring them back in or not. In this current 26-day format, losing a day, like you are just freeing them of tribal, essentially. It's like it's not enough time in the game to allow a 24-hour like check. If that makes sense. Like if it was 39 days still, I think we could get away with doing that. And then in terms of the drug thing, I think they just have this weird conception of any type of medical thing to help relieve a pain is like, even though it's not, when you think about it, they view it as an advantage that other players don't get to have. And it's similar to when people were getting dehydrated at the beginning of the season and Brandon needed to have an IV. And someone I think like the specialist brought up about how like they shouldn't have shown that on TV because now future players are like, well, maybe I need an IV. IV gives you an advantage. Like, what if I just feign being dehydrated?
Yeah,
a challenge. And now I get
that makes
IV.
sense. I just am just thinking like, damn, like if it was just a matter of him being in pain and needing a little bit of assistance, like we could still see him in the game. It sucks. But for Caroline, Jam, and Josh,
A blessing.
Yeah. So, but hats off to Matthew. I picked the perfect time to go meet him.
Yep.
Where he works. I just happened to be in Columbus. My wife and I were like, hit him up. We visited his restaurant. So we were able to meet him. It was so exciting. And then him spending some time with us a week ago was great. Absolutely amazing. So bittersweet.
You sent us pictures of like you guys together. And you guys literally do look like you could be brothers. It's hilarious. But with the Matthew of it all, like I said, I'm not expecting Jeff Probst to be on his podcast today going like, oh, and I'm going to call Matthew right now. He's going to have a free call whenever. But I do believe if Jeff Probst stays true to his word of like more of the returnee seasons in the future will involve people that they have been casting post Winners at War.
Yeah.
I couldn't see how you don't give Matthew a call as one of the people to represent like this season because he was a focal point of this pre-merge, even on a tribe that was not going to tribal since the premiere. Like he is one of the handful of people that anyone would be like, name people on the cast. Matthew's going to be one of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised even when the season's over, so like a year once the finale's over. Oh, name 5 people from 44. Matthew right now, you got to think he's the no-brainer.
Right. You're going to be naming Jam, Carolyn, Matthew, Carson, and like maybe a Danny, maybe a
That's
Franny
exactly the 5 that
Matt.
I thought. That's exactly 100%. So farewell to Matthew. I was a little bit like, why aren't they making a little bit bigger production of him, like the farewell to Matthew kind of thing? We just kind of get to see that him like giving his little exit interview type thing. Mm-hmm. I'm wishing that we kind of had a little bit more closure to his journey. Like when Shamar got voted off in Survivor Caramoan, it's like when he got evacuated, like the boats come and it was just everyone was crying.
I'm trying to remember. Were you guys the tribe that was going to go to tribal that night?
Maybe
I think that's part of the reason. So maybe like next episode we get like Ratu's reaction at the beginning of the episode of losing Matthew.
I think
that's part of like their choice of editing. They're like, we're going to give the viewers this post challenge segment. It's isolated. It's just Matthew. It gives him the out of saying like what he's feeling. Like, is this the decision that he needs to make? And then you get everything else. Preamble. Everything's heating up. Just to then like everything be cut at the knees for the players when you come back and like you think it's good news. It's like, oh, someone got medically evacuated. We're all safe. But you hear at the end of the episode, Karen's like, I'm pissed. I wanted to vote you out.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that throw challenges just to vote somebody out. So, but at the end of the day, we see that there is a, merge or in the merge coming up. So if I'm Caroline, even though I'm pissed I couldn't vote out Josh, for example, I am still excited to be there one more day, right? Because it could have been
for Idol.
Yeah. So, but let's start at the beginning of the episode. So just so you guys know, I was at the viewing party with Johnny Fairplay last week. I'm watching the show, and you know how it is. In between commercial breaks, Johnny's doing trivia, and it was people are talking to us. So it was a little bit of a blur. So I did not go back and watch the episode again. Mm-hmm. So going in, I know Sarah goes home.
Yep.
So she is gone, and we go to after tribal, and Caroline basically played everybody. Josh used his real idol, even though he claims he has another idol, but he used his idol. And Caroline's like, look, I'm doing what's best for my game. And I don't blame her. And I hate the hatred that she's getting from fans because I'm friends with her on Facebook. I love seeing her family vacation she's doing right now. And even tonight, she's one of the most entertaining people we've seen in many seasons, dude. Like, I love her.
Well, Matt, you missed from the podcast last week. Dan and I called out the people that were
you did?
Yeah, and we did get comments back
about
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I believe I believe the comment was like, "Oh, so you can't hate her, but you're allowed to hate Gabler."
And
like,
we're just like, we hated Gabler's game.
Yeah.
We're not calling Gabler a crackhead.
No.
Yeah.
Totally different things.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it's just like it's you wanting to be an asshole and like, oh, because you're getting called out for it, I'm allowed to be an asshole. Yeah, you are. I'm also allowed to call the fuck out of it. Like,
yeah, right.
be a decent person, man. Like, do you want me to come around, find your insecurities, and keep calling you that? Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a difference between like last season when I'm like talking shit on Gabler, I'm not saying like this guy's a dweeb. I hate his goatee and his cargo shorts. I'm not making fun. I'm basically saying like, man, from what I'm seeing as a podcaster and a fan of Survivor, I'm not seeing a lot of great gameplay, right?
Yeah.
I'm just
and,
not.
and we called it out.
So
Yeah.
like I feel that there's a total difference in like calling out our opinion on someone's gameplay and like, God, look at this.
And calling
person.
someone out on their real life struggles that they're like that they have overcome and forever will be overcoming.
Yeah, that's like, so the morons that are talking smack to you guys about that is those people are complete idiots because
Yeah.
it's not even comparing anything remotely the same.
Right.
So
No, it's not even the same. And the thing that I take it, one step further that I don't understand is a lot of these people, that are listening to the podcast, the fans, like we appreciate all of you, but you're all super fans. At some point in your life, you probably have been, bullied in one way or another.
right.
So then the people that you hate that, makes your blood boil or whatever, well, you're becoming that person by attacking someone personally.
Yeah.
It's-
And like a lot of us are super fans. A lot of us want to play this game.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Because once you start playing this game, and you're on a cast, a lot of what's in your closet is going to come out before you even have an episode premiere. Do you want all of your baggage called out on you constantly? No. You want to be lifted up as you should. You should be called out for your game as you should. And we will do that as people that have this medium to do it.
Yeah.
But like it's always out of this is the character that we're being presented. And we always have to clarify, like, outside this game, like we DM'd these people, we met these people in person, like they're fantastic people.
No,
But in this game, if you're playing like an idiot, I'm gonna call you an idiot.
Yeah, it's just part of the like. Yeah, there's been countless times where Johnny Fairplay and myself have ran into Reem Daly or War Dog or whoever else. I mean, War Dog, perfect example. Johnny hated on War Dog. This guy sucks. Oh God, they became thick as thieves. And War Dog comes on our podcast with Veebles the rapper like every freaking season since to give the cast assessment for new seasons. So like, it's just like, man, you guys did nothing wrong. And like I said, I find it just interesting. But yes, for people that listen to the podcast, you have to differentiate. We talk about gameplay, what we see. We're only seeing a little tiny bit of someone, right? But we're not here to bully someone off of them being a nerd or fat or ugly or this or that, right? We're just not.
No.
We go by gameplay. And if
it's
your
like,
gameplay sucks, we'll call it out. People thought my gameplay might have sucked. So it is what it is.
right. And ultimately, I know people have been like, all like, there's up and downs with the season. Like, I know on our behind our paywall, Johnny was talking about how like the numbers actually been up this season, which is funny because I've been seeing so much criticism of the season because everyone's like, there's too many advantages. What's the point of gameplay? There is no gameplay. I'm like, we're seeing the gameplay. It's a new era of gameplay because of all this that's out there. We don't agree. Like, we all can sit here and be like, we don't agree that there's all this shit out there on the island for people to have. Everyone's getting handed an idol like this is Oprah Winfrey show. But like, you play the game that you have in front of you, and we're seeing people that are excelling, and we're seeing the people that are struggling at it. And like, for example, I think Carolyn played last episode great. She explains it very well after the vote. Like, they're all on Tika Beach, and she's saying, Jam, you and Sarah would keep going off you guys would keep having this conversation. I know you keep telling me, like, why didn't you just tell me? I could have been on the vote. Yeah, you're just mad you didn't get your way. Like, don't you see that's how I've been feeling this whole time? Like, I'm the third turd. And I love her like calling herself the third turd of Tika. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. I love her. And like you just see Josh sitting back and he's just like, you know what? Keep fighting. But just in case, I'm gonna say I have this fake idol. And I thought it was so interesting. I'm like, I know this is gonna turn back around. Because they showed the flashback of him like showing it to Jam Jam, but he says, I just showed him the same idol clue from the idol that I got from the journey. I'm like, but you showed Carolyn, and like the first thing that came to my head was like, you showed Carolyn this.
Yeah.
Like she saw that paper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna come back around at some point. But that's like sort of where we leave off, where Carolyn's just like, I know probably best for my game is to keep Josh because of the Soka ties. But my heart, I love Jam Jam. I want to have Jam Jam in the game. The heart pick is Jam Jam. And that's the struggle we have before we get past the journey and the potential vote.
Yeah, and it's still a struggle. It's like I really think that Jam Jam and Caroline truly like each other, but I think it's like there's so much going on. Can they trust each other
It's giving
forward?
so much Ricard and Shan on 41 of like
Mm-hmm.
they worked well together, but they also like the entire time would talk to each other about like, well, I'm gonna need to cut you at some point.
Yeah,
Dude.
it's really kind of like siblingy, like esque. Like it's like, all right, almost like brother and sister. Like they're really close. Sometimes they're gonna fight and not get along, but eventually, they'll make amends and get back on the same page.
Oh yes, that's a good. I don't know if siblingy is an actual word.
I don't believe it is.
It's now a word. It's now a word.
I love hashtag siblingy, and it's a picture. It's a shirt for JohnnyFairplay.com. A shirt with Caroline and Jam Jam. Hashtag siblingy. So we see Matthew. This is day 10 now.
Yep.
He's crying. He's in pain. His shoulder is jacked. He's bummed. He said he's trained for this for, forever. He's obviously a huge super fan. I've talked to him personally. We know that he has practiced Survivor challenges in his backyard.
Yeah.
He's leaving his husband and his child to come play this game. I know what it's like leaving my 2 kids and my wife. It's a big sacrifice, even though people are like, oh, it's only a month or whatever. Playing Survivor is gnarly. It's a mind fuck. It's something that like literally you'll never do in your entire life. It's very strange. And so he's sacrificing a lot. So he's definitely bummed. And then he kind of opens up to Carson just about where he's at. And we see this kind of moment between him and Carson. So I'm like, oh no.
You're starting to get these like tinglings of like, oh no, I don't like this vibe that I'm getting. Like, is he somehow gonna manage and like be a one-armed man getting all the way to finale night, or is he gonna go this episode? Like, you don't know. But like, I it's so interesting because we said it earlier in the podcast of like Matthew's been the focal point of this tribe.
Yep.
And the only 2 people that we see here, and the only 2 people that Carson then talks about, like all the relationships he's building. He's like talking about, oh, I made all these relationships. I'm building these bonds so that like no one's seeing me as this strategic mastermind player. They're just seeing me as this little goofball nerd. Mm-hmm. But once they figure out that I have more behind me, they're going to be gone from the game. But the only 2 people that they show him interacting with and who Matthew was interacting with are it's Matthew, Carson, and Kane. Mm-hmm. And Kane's at it. It's just this whole gladiator nerd thing of like, he loves calling people gladiators that like try to like lift them up. I find that I know you can rip them for it, Matt, but I personally was just laughing the entire time where they show Kane and Carson like bonding. And they're like, Kane's just like, I was just happy to have someone younger and like more nerdy like me, because like all they want to talk about is food. But what about the Jedi?
I was gonna say, Matt, you just want to talk Star Wars now?
Oh, dude, Pokemon, Star Wars, I love it. I mean, honestly, like that is the beauty of Survivor when they bring different people from different walks of life. You have the jocks or whatever. So these nerds have something to talk about. And honestly, like I am totally cool with it. I actually, as much as Johnny Fairplay hates like the Cochran type of player or the Christian type of player,
I think they're
I
even.
really don't mind Carson. Now, Kane, he hasn't really done a whole ton for me because I just think he hasn't been portrayed as smart as, let's say, Carson.
Do you
Carson's
think
edit has been better, I
do you
think.
think it's because Carson's got to have more opportunities because he's gone to tribal more?
Yeah, I do, and I think they use the whole NASA. They use
Right.
his because I don't know, like, what does Kane do for a living in real life?
I
Do you
I
don't
know?
believe
know.
he's still like in student, like he's a grad student, I believe.
Okay, so they have more kind of to talk about and
Right.
press on with
They're same
Carson.
age group.
Yeah, so I don't know, but yeah, I like this Nerdicon 5000 kind of bonding, you
Well,
know?
and if Carolyn's idea that we're gonna see hopefully come to fruition next episode of destroying the muscle boys, the
Yeah.
meat a meat tray, if you will.
I believe they called it Meat Brigade here, but yeah,
Meat Brigade.
Australian Survivor.
But I could see like the Tika 3 coming back together. I could see Carson pulling in like a Kane, a Jamie, maybe the Franny and Max of the world, and like suddenly the whole game gets flipped on its head on these muscle boys who want to like look at each other's pecs for the next 12 days and just admire their tats. That's what they were really looking at. I really just want to see your tats, man.
Yeah,
How
I
much
think
you lift, bro?
yeah, so
A decent amount.
So we see after this the meeting of the nerds, we see Soka on day 10. They're sitting on the beach, and yet again, we see yoga a lot of times, right? So like Danny is doing this meditational breathing on the
Jiu-jitsu,
beach.
man.
And I do feel though that like this is kind of keeping this tribe kind of excited together. Like this is like a bonding moment, even though I'm like, come on, yoga, meditation. Like if I was on a beach and like Philip Shepard is like leading the meditation ceremony, I would be like I'd be like, what in the fuck? Like I'll play along with this shit.
Oh,
But this
yeah,
guy's a moron.
I'd be like, my eyes are closed. I'm like, I cannot open my eyes right now because the last thing I want to do is see pink underwear right in front of my face.
Yeah,
Please don't be in
If
front of
it's
me.
not
Please.
Coach Chi, I don't want it.
Well,
yeah, but they seem to really bond
Yeah.
here. And then we see this moment where Danny is talking about his like 4-month-old girl, and you see the footage from home, which I like seeing this.
Yeah.
And he's like really missing his little girl. And then we see Jamie who thinks that she's playing like this really great game. What do you guys think about Jamie?
I'm like I'm not gonna say that she's out there playing a great game.
Yeah.
But I think she has more awareness than what the show was trying to show us at the beginning. Because like we said, we learned that she was very much aware that she was the first name brought up as the potential first boot.
Yes.
So like that's why she plays her shot in the dark, but we don't see in the edit. So like I think ultimately it's all for naught. Like she's someone who gets out like mid-merge or is a goat or something.
Yeah.
Like if she wins, like congrats to her, and I'm sorry that I said those things, Jamie.
Yeah.
But I think she has enough awareness to be like, I'm this tool for them to use. Like I came from another tribe, we're vibing together. I have information on people that they can take out because they have numbers to take people out, and
Right.
I can help you with that. And I can understand Jamie's frustrations, especially in a 26-day format game now.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 39 days, maybe it's a little bit different, but with a 26-day game, I can understand her frustration and red flags with Matt, where Matt just openly says, like, I prefer slow deliberation. I'm like, cool. You can have slow deliberation on Ponderosa about why you got voted the fuck out. I'm like, it's like, we're all running a marathon. And sure, a marathon's long, but you have to maintain a really good pace if you want to have a good placement. He's learning to crawl. And like, that's how she's interpreting his conversations with her. And obviously the only blind spot here is that Jamie's telling all this to Franny. And we get confirmation now that Franny also likes Matt. And I'm like, you know what? Let these two little out there personalities like each other too.
Matt doesn't have time to think about strategy. He's trying to find crabs and other gifts to give to Franny.
Whoa. I don't think she wants to get crabs from that.
So I want to ask you guys. Okay. Like, look, I follow Franny on Instagram, and I believe she's queer,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, like, do you think that? So I'm like, there's no way then she's gonna like date Matt, but we see her like, she's like, I would be pleased as punch to date Matt. So, like, I don't even know what pleased as punch means, but do you think it's possible that this is the showmance that Jeff Probst and CBS?
Oh, it is what
kind
they're
of
talking
deal.
about.
So, like, but like, so she's not gay? Is she bisexual?
No,
Like,
that's I think that's sort of like what it's interpreted is that she could swing both ways.
okay.
But I think really ultimately it's just that they both have, I think, probably similar personalities, and that's why they like gravitate to each other. Like I think Claire said in like episode 2 or something, it's like nerd magnets or something.
Yes.
Like they just are attracted to each other, and we see in the next time on like they're snuggled up in the sleeping at night holding hands, and we know what that means in Survivor. One of you has to go once you're hand holding at night.
Do you think, I mean, looking as a viewer and as a fan, do you think there's any way possible that this relationship goes past the game?
It's always possible that they attempted.
Yeah.
But I think they also come across as two people where, like, if it didn't work out, they would be like really good friends.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the
I
vibe
like
I
it.
get.
I like the
They're cute.
combination.
They're
of
cute
them.
together.
They are 100%. So, so after this, we have Jam Jam and Josh trying to like kind of make up. Josh though does not trust Jam Jam. Josh doesn't feel safe because his idol is gone, but he claims that he has another idol, which indeed is a fake idol with the clue that says he has an idol, but this is beads from Tree Mail, yes, which everyone is like, that's kind of beats from Tree Mail.
But I love how they both talk shit about each other. It's just like this scene in general is just so hilarious because we have this first part of the scene where they're just talking shit about each other in confessional. Like Jam Jam's just like, dude, like I know that like I tried to vote you out, but you also lied to me. Like, so why the bitch face? Why do you constantly have bitch face on? Like, why can't we just move past this? And Josh is just like, yeah, no. I can't trust this man. Yeah. But then we get this dichotomy though. And what we love about Survivor is I love how this story comes out without them hammering home that this is like the first time where like we have a tribe that all current tribe members are part of the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. But we get two very different stories about their like coming out. Yeah. And like how Jam Jam's story is like, it wasn't a matter of coming out that I was scared about. I was scared about like just my perception of myself. Like I didn't find myself good enough. I didn't find myself attractive enough. I never had a relationship, but the first relationship I finally had when I had the courage to accept myself is now my husband. Mm-hmm. And then you have Josh who's like, you know, I had to move away from my hometown because I just didn't feel like I fit. And then once I moved out, I finally was able to embrace myself. My family was able to embrace me. And it's very beautiful to have this type of moment. So I was like, I think thankful that we didn't have a tribal because at least it gave us more camp life, more of that like building some character behind people as we approach this merge part of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that, you know, watching Jam Jam and Josh talk about when they came out. I mean, you know, Josh talks about being a sophomore year in college, which is that's a long time to wait to feel that, to finally feel that you can be open about who you are. It just makes me sad sometimes that young people can't come out and just say, "Hey, I'm gay. I like dudes, or I like women, or I'm this or that." Right. And because it's just like, God, if I had to like hide something that I felt for many years, it's just like I hope we get to a point someday in our society where people can just come out where it's not a big deal, because I don't think it's a big deal, right? Catherine Allen,
we know the answer to that. It was Michael Snow.
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah. Answer on the Q&A again, but yes, there's a lot of cuddling going on. I mean, when you're freezing out there, you will cuddle with anyone possible, whether it's Shamar or Julia or Michael Snow. But yeah, Michael Snow was like he was my wife out there on Survivor. But yeah, this Josh and Jam Jam moment, I feel like even though there was potential tonight if they would have went to tribal that maybe Josh goes home knowing that can he be trusted because of this like fake idol kind of thing. I feel like since they did not go to tribal tonight, that Jam Jam and Josh have this common thing of being gay. That is something like when you're out on Survivor, look, you're out there with total strangers. So you are trying to cling on to whatever you can, commonalities that you have with people. So when I was out there on Survivor Caramoan, I was like, okay, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. And so like Dawn Meehan, I was like, oh my God, in my mind, I'm like, okay, Dawn, I saw her on her first season and she's a parent and she's this and that.
Mm-hmm.
We have these common things. Well, she ended up stabbing me in the back. But I'm just saying, you look for whatever you can to like have a bond with to kind of move forward into the game. So quite possibly, since there is a merge coming, I'm not opposed to Jam Jam and Josh having some alliance together. What do you guys think?
I don't think they'll work together. I don't think it.
They may not work together, but at least is some commonality going into if this is what we're expecting, like an earn the merge. That's at least someone that they're familiar with. So depending upon how the votes are breaking down, it could be, hey, whether it be from Jam Jam's side or Josh's side, being like, this may not be something that will last for, another week, but if we can use each other to get, through the next few votes, then why not? Because I have a connection with Josh where Jam Jam would be like, I have no connection with a Danny, with a Lauren, Brandon, whoever.
Right. And I will say before we get into the immunity challenge, because that's what's next. It's such a shame they didn't get to watch season 43 because I want to know who pulls the game winning move of I said X's name to say X's name. Mm-hmm. And then they win the game off of that one move and making fire. So maybe it's Jam Jam. Maybe Jam Jam goes like, the reason why I said Josh's name was to say Josh's name and it's not my name.
Yeah. Well, who knows? We go into this immunity challenge, and it's also not only immunity, but the winner of the challenge gets to pick who goes on this journey.
So
explain the challenge.
So at first I will say the amount my eyes rolled hearing there's gonna be a journey. I'm like, what do you mean there's gonna be? We have a tribe of 3.
Why are you just had a journey last week?
We just had we've only had 2 journeys. I didn't like how the advantage stuff was going on, like forcing people to lose votes the first time, handing people idols the second time. Like, what the hell are they gonna do this time? I will come out and say, spoiler alert, this is the best version of the journey that you can have and how it should always be if you're gonna have it. So I actually turned positive after it, but I was heated while watching this, just thinking about, God damn it, there's a journey. We're wasting time going there where they don't even show people talking. But for this immunity challenge, we've seen it, and I think we saw it last season. You're tied together. You race through obstacles to get to your bucket that you fill with water, and you pour that water or after crossing a platform to get a gate to lower. Once you get the gate to lower, you do a 2 tribe member table maze to get 3 balls into the hole. First team to do it wins immunity, gets to pick people for the journey. Second team is safe from tribal. Third tribe is going to tribal.
Do you guys think that you would do well in the final part of this challenge where you have the table thing?
I think it completely depends on who you're partnered with. Because I'm someone who I may not be the best at leading that, but I think I would have steady enough hands to you could trust me to allow it to keep the ball from falling off. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be the reason why we lose, but I probably also wouldn't be the reason why you win.
Right.
I think I'd suck at most of these. This one, I actually think I could do pretty
We're
well.
voting Matt. We're voting Dan out. We need to keep the tribe strong.
I so badly wish that we could just all have like a fun weekend and have real survival
Hey,
challenges.
let's have Matt. Let's have gay Matt Bischoff make some more stuff
Realistic
in his
fighting.
backyard. We'll all come down and we'll do a version of Bob Crowley's, but in Ohio.
All right, we're all taking out Johnny first, but yeah, agreed.
Oh yeah, totally. I did not make a deal with Matt to take you out first.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's get Fair Play out. Fair Play's had his chance on reality TV. Let's give us one more chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ratu is on the maze first, but then it gets even, and everyone is kind of on this last part of the challenge. Ratu wins, then Soka, and then Ratu picks for the journey. We have Brandon, Danny, and Caroline go on the journey, and then we see this clip of Matthew needing medical to look at him. And Catherine Allen, they say journey, everyone does a Tori roll.
Well, you see, Matt may have gotten medical attention, but you know what you don't need medical attention for is knowing when you need to shave your balls.
Mm-hmm. You don't want your balls to look like my beard.
No. And if you don't want them to look like Matt's beard, you want to use Manscaped. We'll be right back.
Support for Reality After Show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. That's right, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SURVIVOR at manscaped.com. If my math's correct, that's about 12 million balls.
The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies.
First off, the Lawnmower 4.0, this trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever.
Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and has a 4000K LED spotlight that you need for a more precise shave.
Now, I have a dark shower curtain in my bathroom, and I've been looking for the perfect way to shave in the dark, kinda. Guess what? I found it! 4000K LED! No longer a problem. I got perfectly smooth, clean balls thanks to the Lawnmower 4.0.
It's time to take care of yourself, so go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code SURVIVOR. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code SURVIVOR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thanks for sticking with us through the ad break. And don't forget, for more exclusive Reality After Show coverage, visit realitypatron.com. That's reality, Patron.com.
So we see Matthew being kind of looked at by medical, and he's kind of like saying he doesn't know what to do. This is almost like, is it Matthew's choice that he could be possibly taking himself out of the game? He's just saying, look, the pain is, this has been 9 days or whatever now. Like I'm beginning to be like, every day is painful. I can't do what I want to be able to do. But it kind of, this is not like, I was like, oh shit, he's going to get evac'd right here.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it kind of leads it to like, oh, well, what's going to happen, right? He's very emotional about it too, because we know Matthew is a fan of this game and wants to play the game. So after this, we see this journey that happens, right? So you have Caroline and you have Danny and Brandon, and they all kind of realize like, look, this is not some like crazy thing where we have to like decide some grand decision. This is just like we're going to feast at the sanctuary and get to know each other. And the problem is Caroline is sitting there while Brandon and Danny are just sitting there talking about tattoos and guy stuff and how they're going to work together and be this alpha male type stuff. And she's just like in the middle, like, I can't believe how blatant. I do not think it was just editing.
No.
They were basically totally not even including her, which I think is total BS.
Like, I really want to know more. Like, I want to know, like, from, like, Carolyn or Danny, or if they'll, like, talk about, like, did Brandon ever mention to either of them, like, why they were... Like, we hear why Danny was picked. Brandon was like, I need to see... Like, I need to hear from Danny. Because, like, Danny's someone who I didn't think I could work with, but we're vibing now. Now I can. We don't know why they picked Carolyn. Did they just think Carolyn was on the outs? Did they... I don't know. Like, we don't know what they were thinking there. And Carolyn gives them information. Like, Carolyn gives them very good information because she mentions how Josh played an idol. And it was an idol that was only... He showed me the parchment. It was from the journey, and it was only good up until we merge. And the very first thing we see immediately is Danny going, well, then Jamie must have one too. Good to know. And, like, that's all we hear about. Like, we don't hear Brandon say, oh, and then Carson must have one. We don't hear it.
Right.
We only hear specifically that Jamie has it. And that's good to know. So that's something that I'm, like, banking into next episode or next 2 episodes. I think that's going to come up. But then they completely disregard her. And, like, she keeps trying to add herself into the conversation because, like, Danny's making obvious word choices that wouldn't involve her. It would only involve people that look like him and Brandon. And she's like, yeah, why would that be weird? Like, where am I in your plan? And then they, like, even go as far as Danny mentioning, like, oh, you know, Josh would be good for this group too. And Carol's like, he's on a 3-person tribe with me. Like, he could be going, I could be voting him out. Like, why aren't you talking to me? And then the next thing they do when they finally do talk to her is like, well, who do you want to target? And she's like, the fuck you mean, who do I want to target? I just want to be safe. I want to have people that I can work with.
Right.
Yeah. Last week, I caved. I felt like I was being too hard on Danny. I was like, you know what? Maybe he's a little better than I was actually giving him credit for. I take all that back. I should have stuck to my guns. Danny showed us who he is. He just wants to bro out with some other tatted guys.
Yeah, I don't understand that, because if I'm on Survivor and like a big part of the game is your social game and working with other human beings like throughout this game, like I would be using this sanctuary opportunity to really be cool with everybody. Whether you think Caroline is this or that, I would be like totally including her and just trying to like get as much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I would be working the room. And these guys were totally blatantly disregarding her. And again, we see these hilarious facial expressions from Caroline that we've seen all season. And I don't blame her. I'd be fucking pissed off if I were her.
Especially when you look at it from the fact that right now, you know, both the Ratu and the Soka, they have more than Tika. And at this point, we don't know Matthew's gone. So you think, okay, Tika's going down to 2 people. Wouldn't you think that you would try to advocate to Carolyn being like, hey, we will pull you in on our side. That way we'll have the majority going into the merge rather than just completely disregarding her and being like, you know what? I kind of really like Josh though.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because it's such a shame because Danny, like at first when he's talking, I'm like, okay, I can start getting behind because he's talking about how, oh, like if we can all get to the merge, like I'll bring like my people, you guys can bring like your people and like we can create something new out of this. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And then it immediately becomes very clear that he's just talking about his Soka group and Brandon and whoever Brandon likes. Because I think almost in their minds, they're like, well, Carolyn's here and Josh and Jam get to be at the camp saying like they're both going to vote Carolyn out. We know Carolyn's not getting anything here. So Carolyn's probably going home. Mm-hmm. So we can just completely... I don't think it was intentional to leave her out, but I think subconsciously they just had both in their minds like, oh, she's a dead man walking. Let's just focus on what our games are. And that's going to be, I really have to believe that's going to be such a big mistake because we get that ominous confessional from Carolyn who's just like, Yeah, no, this has completely changed how I was viewing what was going to happen today at Tribal. I do not want these muscle boys to get to do their thing, and I want them to regret like not really including me. I will make that merch. And like then she laughs because it's Carolyn, just because like, oh, she's probably in her head being like, oh, that was such a good confessional. I have to freak out about it now. But it's like you have her, and while this is going on, we have at Tika Beach, Josh and Jam Jam essentially doing what you have to do. And it's like, well, we can vote out Carolyn. Carolyn's a ticking time bomb. Jam's like, I'm throwing Carolyn underneath the bus, the plane, the submarine, the train, whatever. I will throw all vehicles at her in order to survive in this game. And they do shake on it under the premise that Josh has a real idol, because Josh is like, I wouldn't like to use this idol. And in my head, if I'm Josh with a real idol, or pretend to have a real idol, if you're Carolyn who has a real idol but no one knows about, I don't care about like if it's the right player or not. You're in a tribe of 3. I'm playing my fucking idol.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love when Caroline comes back and she's like kind of like whisper, like, looking at Jam Jam, like, yeah, like, look, dude, like, we got to get Josh out of here. And, she's kind of upset about this meat brigade. Josh then claimed that he's playing this idol, and this is when Jam Jam starts like, I thought this was absolutely hilarious. I know there's a lot of controversy about production kind of like allowing these like more realistic looking fake idols or this or that. But it's so funny because Josh, it's blatantly obvious. Jam Jam is like, oh, this thing is breaking. This is the beads, dude, from the freaking tree mail.
No, it's not from tree mail.
So that's the beauty of this. And I'm thinking, oh God, like this makes it all worthwhile. Like I know a lot of people are like, oh, advantages and this and that. I love this moment. Do you like this, Dan?
Oh yeah, I thought it was great because finally we're seeing, because how many times do we see, 20 years now of, oh, I cut the beads off tree mail, I cut the beads off somewhere else, and that's what I'm using as my fake idol. And finally, now it's been around, the players are paying attention to it. They're just like, no, like I've seen those beads, 100 times since we've been out here. That's not an idol. And then look at it. If it was an idol, would it be falling apart when I just go like this? Like,
well, right. And like, this is why I'm not a fan of the production fake idols, especially with the fact that they look like the real idol of a different tribe. Yeah. That part I don't like. I love the fact that Josh attempts this. I love that Matthew made a fake idol and gave it to Jamie under the wrapping of a real idol. It was like, I love that side of things, because sure, you can get caught. But I think that's part of the fun as a viewer to see, does this person get caught? Do people believe that it's a real idol? Do they even care if it's a real idol or not? Did they just want an excuse to do something else? And by having that fake idol, they're like, oh, well, we can't go after Josh. We have to go after Jam Jam now. It's like, but I love seeing Jam Jam and Carolyn sort of like bond back together a little bit. They don't trust each other, but they bond a little bit by roasting the hell out of Josh and his fake idol.
They do, and then comes in this really powerful backstory of Josh talking about, when he was little, that the disease he had. Yeah. And he has kidney problems. Then he has freaking cancer when he's in med school. And I'm like, he had is he on like a colostomy bag? Like, how is he able to play Survivor?
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, what? Because like you got your stomach removed, like. I've never met someone who's had their stomach removed. I don't know what the process is for someone, like how they eat, digest anything.
I don't either, dude. That's really crazy because, I mean, we've seen people before in the past with, we've seen amputees.
Yeah.
We've seen cancer survivors. But yeah, that's Josh's story is pretty freaking gnarly. And, he's in great shape. I mean, he seems like a successful. Yeah. He's a podiatrist or some sort of.
No, he's a physical trainer. He couldn't finish his MCAP, so 9 years later he moves to Georgia and becomes a physical trainer.
Dude, but I love these backstories. I'm cool with it. And so right around this point, I'm looking at my phone and I'm thinking about, because I'm like, okay,
It's
when do I?
8:54.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no tribals happening.
No tribal.
All of a sudden, we see the boat come in. When Jeff Probst comes to your island, it's not a good thing. So Jeff comes, and he basically is like, "Hey, it's your lucky day, Jam, Josh, and Caroline, because you don't have to go to tribal council because Matt is out of this game." So you would think that they would be like, "Oh, thank God, the three of us we're safe. We don't have to go to tribal." But Caroline was pissed about this. She's like, "I wanted to go to tribal to get Josh out." But if honestly looking back at this, like I would rather not have to go to tribal under any circumstance than to have to go, especially with three people.
Obviously, right. And like, there's a big world because like she wanted to be selfish and not play her idol.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't want people to know she has it. She doesn't want to show it to Jam because like at this point, if he doesn't trust you now, then like you show him like, well, you've been hiding it from me for 9 days.
So
like,
no one knows Caroline has an idol. Is that clear?
No. As
Genius,
the story is telling
dude.
us, the story is telling us that no one knows that Carolyn has their birdcage idol. For all intents and purposes, they believe that Helen had it and that they voted Helen out. So it went with Helen. Yeah. But I think the issue you do have is why people who go to tribal are more successful in the post-merge of the game more often than not. And it's to build that trust, build a sense of unity. Because I think if Jam and Carolyn were able to go to tribal, vote Josh out together, and because your vote can prove more than what your words can say. Yes. So you're now going into this earn the merge phase, never resolving that conflict in a physical sense. So there's no reason for any of them to have any trust with each other going into this next phase of the game because they never had that opportunity tonight to show it.
Right. Yep. So just so you guys know where I'm at this season of Survivor, we podcast about the seasons. This has been, I've enjoyed every single episode. Last week I was with Johnny Fairplay at the viewing party, with, like I said, Sandra Diaz-Twine, Johnny Fairplay, Sash Lenahan, Roger freaking Bingham, and Matthew was there, which I competed in a fire making challenge against him and I lost, but there was like 100 people there circling around us that it was actually unbelievable. The fans that were there were like, I feel like I'm at tribal council in real life. It was beautiful. But this season so far has been so great, and podcasting with you guys has been so fun. And I am very happy that we're going into this merge because I feel like we Carson has a strong game and Jam, and we got Danny. There's a lot of players that are conniving and have some stuff going on.
Yep.
So I feel like the game is really going to start to unfold now that we're going into a merge, as it always does. But I'm praying for like a badass blindsides and chaos. And as much as I hate Matthew going home, we still have Caroline and Jam and a lot of big time players. So I'm excited.
I would like, and this isn't anything against Matthew. I just think because of the dynamic of Matthew leaving, the one thing I'm always concerned about in these three tribal formats where there's always like a majority tribe, that majority tribe is going to be able to clean house. Yeah. Like you always just have that fear. Does it happen all the time? No, but you have that fear. And that was my fear with this Soka tribe going in, because they're a unit, they're united. And then they want to add Brandon in, and then suddenly you have the majority.
Right.
I think Carolyn's still being there and getting to be that very vocal, out there sort of like potential leader as an opposition opens the door for these other players. Whereas I think like if Ratu came in with Matthew, I think it's very much like Soka versus Ratu, who gets the Tika 3. Yeah. And whereas now with Matthew gone, you don't have those numbers to equally go head to head. Now these three people that are from the Tika tribe have even more power of like, how does all this break up? Because it only takes like a Danny hit or a Brandon hit where suddenly everyone else cascades and you have a new game on your hands.
Yeah. So I'm optimistic. Matthew, we love you. You were so fun to watch. I'm still pissed you climbed that stupid rock on day 2.
We all are.
But Johnny Fairplay tonight is with the Queen and other survivors at his viewing party. He's going to be doing taking the month of April off. So far, we'll see if anything pops up. We will let you know, but he's going to be kicking it back up in May. If you like our podcast and want to support it, the best way is to become a patron. Join our secret Facebook group. We do a weekly Q&A podcast. It's a lot of fun. That's realitypatron.com. If you don't like becoming a patron, then Johnny will give you your money back. So, but it does help support our podcast and what we do. Dan, Alex, super fun as always. And if you want to see Johnny Fairplay's take, he will be doing a podcast with our main man, Wayne Memmott, on Friday to give their recap of the show. But yes, we will see you next week for the Earn the Merge, whatever. We're going to see what happens. And I'm stoked. Cheers, everyone, and good night.
And for more bonus content, go to realitypatron.com. That's right, become a patron now. Get additional coverage of all your favorite shows, the weekly Q&A, and you become a member of the secret, exclusive Facebook group. That's realitypatron.com.